I'm Hetty Brand-Boswijk and I'm Director of Coaching at the Rotterdam School of Management, Erasmus University. And for ECWO, Erasmus Centre for Women in Organisations, I'm the lead coach. The Erasmus Centre for Women in Organisations, or as we call it in short, ECWO, is a centre of expertise at the Erasmus University Rotterdam School of Management, looking at the role of women in corporations, organisations, particularly their growth in leadership positions. As we know, in society today, there is an imbalance of women in leadership positions in organisations. And ECWO does research about what this is looking like around the world, about how different governments and organisations are working to improve the possibilities, the opportunities for women in leadership. But we also run programs, so we run tailor-made in-company programs focused on women in leadership, gender balance within organisations, and we have some open programs. It's not only about women in leadership though, it's about empowering women to understand who they are themselves and what their own skills are. And that's where the coaching comes in. And at ECWO, the coaching looks at empowering women to be who they are in their organizations and not what the world says they should be. My hope for the women that I work with is that they have started on a path of personal transformation and that they, first of all, know how to be compassionate to themselves, because self-compassion is extremely important, self-kindness, not thinking they're wrong all the time if they act or react in a certain way, so that they're able to look in the mirror and say, I matter. And that from that internal belief that they matter, that they can go out and be the powerful, magnificent women that they are, because all the women I work with are so amazing and they inspire me in the coaching conversations. And their path to transformation, and I can say this from a personal perspective, it never ends. Every single experience you have is a learning experience. And to see them grow in their confidence, and as they grow in self-confidence, see them also grow in their careers in the way that they want and not the way that someone else says they should. A coach never provides answers, but a coach can guide someone to find answers for themselves, and that's how it works. At ECWO, we use only professional certified coaches who are certified by the International Coaching Federation. And all of them are therefore well-trained and well-experienced in coaching, in professional coaching. All of us have come from organizations, many of us have a corporate background before we came into coaching. And that means that we get it. You know, when someone comes for coaching, they're in an organization, they talk about the political issues, you know, the internal politics. They talk about organizational issues with unconscious gender bias and that sort of stuff, or their struggles to try to be seen and heard within their organizations. And I just sit there going, been there, done that. You know, we've experienced this for ourselves in similar kinds of organizations. So our coaching is about listening, active listening with our clients. And that doesn't mean only listening with our ears, but I call it eye listening. So watching them as they speak, as they tell their story, as they tell their truth, as they're experiencing it. I'm curious to know, how do you want it to be? Who are you? And then go on that path of discovery with them to discover who they are, to find their purpose, not the purpose that someone else had. And it doesn't mean that that guidance that they've had from all the people around them all their lives is wrong, but to actually find your own purpose in life and then to follow that path is so incredibly fulfilling that you have a bigger impact. You have an impact of positive change in people's lives. And that is an amazing thing for me. I love doing that with my coachees, but I also love seeing them move on and do that with other people. It's my number one value, is paying it forward. What I have had, what I've experienced, my transformation, paying that on to someone else. The change that we're looking for starts with yourself. And that starts with holding a mirror up and saying, okay, so who am I? And the question, who are you, so many people find so difficult to answer because they never asked it. You know, when we're born, we know nothing. And then we grow up and we learn everything from our environment. And what we learn is valuable, it's precious. But what you learned when you were 10, 15, 25 doesn't necessarily serve you any longer when you're 30 or 35 or moving on. Then, you know, taking a step back and looking at, what does my life mean for me? And who do I want to be in this society? But are you fulfilled? Are you doing what you were really put on this planet to do? Are you being who you were really put on this planet to be? And I know from personal experience that it can take a long time to discover who you are. And I've had people in my coaching sessions just look at me with a complete blank face when I say, okay, so who are you? People find it really hard to answer that question because we've learned from our environments who we are. And it isn't always what's going on in our hearts. And to then discover who we really are. That path may not be to a higher position in a corporate. It may be a completely different direction than we were actually put on. And what the way we empower women is to help them find the courage within themselves to walk their path and to live their truth to fulfillment. Well, in the Executive MBA, one of the main courses is the Personal Leadership Development Program. And group and individual coaching is embedded in that program. So what we do with the coaching is part of the personal leadership journey. The students are coming to their coaching, their individual coaching, to help discover who they are and what impact this has on their personal leadership development. Because what we're looking at is a societal idea of what leadership is, and leadership is so much more complex. You can have a natural leadership style, but then looking at a broader range of leadership styles, learning how to use a certain leadership style in a particular situation with a particular team member, and then with the team as a whole. So all of this is embedded in our coaching, and we're helping people in a safe place to just banter about the things they've experienced and about the impact they've had on people. And one of the assignments actually for PLD is to write your life journey. And you'd be surprised how difficult this is. We are not encouraged to look at who we are and who we've been in the past and the impact that certain situations in our life has had on us and who we are right now. And so this is what we actually do in the coaching as well. We help people unpack what has had an impact on them in their lives and how they have been leading from a place of what the world says leadership should be, instead of a place of authentic leadership, really finding out who they are and actually discovering that their leadership skills are not the only thing that they need, but broadening their range of emotional intelligence, of emotional agility, to actually be the leader that they want to be that fulfills them to be that leader and not the leader that the world says they should be. The power of coaching is that it's magic. At least it feels like it's magic. When you're in the classroom, you're still with other people. You're still aware of what you're saying, what you're doing, how you're being, and the courage is still a little bit hidden. You'll learn things, you'll learn theoretical frameworks, you'll learn a lot about networking, negotiations, leadership for women, etc. A lot about the research, and this is really valid because it gives such a good basis to your own growth. But it's not yet funneling it down to you as an individual. So once that learning has happened, taking the individual coaching sessions then funnels that learning down into what does this mean for me personally. And the coaching can be about anything. It's like I've always said to people, you can't shock me, whatever you want to talk about. But often it starts with the learnings from the programs that people have visited in ECWO, learning about networks, learning about emotions, learning about the politics within organizations. And what we do together, so it's just me and the coach, I hold up a mirror and say, well, I'm noticing you're shifting in your chair a bit when you talk about politics in organizations. What's uncomfortable for you about that? And we start to investigate the deeper meaning of the learning. And when you start to open up and look at the deeper meaning of the learning, you realize what it means to you personally. And this is where the transformation comes in, because we all have our own personal values. They are the guiding lights on the runway for us. Some of them are intrinsic, some of them are learned. But what happens when you start to dig deep about what's going on in your situation, you start to notice whether the environment you're in is aligned or not with your core values. And when the environment you're in, whatever organization it is, when you notice that it's not aligned with your core values, that's when you start to get that stress, and then looking at what's possible from that place. So this is the coaching that follows on from the courses where you learn about the topics. And in the individual coaching that follows on from that, you learn how to apply that to your own life and how to look at who you are within your own organization and to see where you want to go, where you want to take this. It's a forward-facing journey of discovery and transformation. Often in my coaching sessions, I will see in other people or in other women, I will see that they're in a place I recognize, a place I was at 10, 15, 20 years ago. And each step is valuable, and I see that and I go, okay, so here I am today. Here I am in this comfortable place where I know who I am. I know what I can contribute to the world. And it is such a privilege to be where I am and who I am and doing what I do. And it's a privilege because it's a privilege because not everybody gets to the point in their life that they can say, I am fulfilled. And yet, I know I'm not finished. I know there is more. And I'm curious and I'm keen to learn more, to work with more people, to understand more of what's going on in people's lives. And curiosity is what drives me. It drives me to learn more for myself and to hold the mirror up to myself. None of us are perfect. But also to help other women to get there. It doesn't matter what age you are. I reinvented my life in my mid-50s. You know, and I get clients who say, I've got to be there and I've got to do that. And I'm going, says who? You know, they're 35 years old and they've got to be CEO by the age of 40. No, that's what your environment is telling you. What do you want? And it's never too late. I mean, to reinvent myself in my mid-50s, to become a coach because one of my mentors said, I think that's what would be good for you. So again, I listened to someone from external, but I went on that voyage of discovery for myself. And when I actually went to my first coaching course, I discovered I'd come home. And coming home was to a place of fulfillment and paying it forward to others so that everyone can be empowered to find their courage, to step forward into their own truth and be fulfilled in their lives. I just believe in my purpose so much that it's seriously, this isn't a chore to talk about this. This is what's in my heart. And, you know, talking about this, I think back to some conversations I've had with people in the past. And it's just such a powerful journey to be on with people. And then to see them in the past and to see them now, where they are right now, it's just, I don't know, it's an awesome life to lead. I am just so blessed.